Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order Economic Development and Planning Committee. The members are myself, Martin Kelly, Brian Sweet, Roy Diamond, Daniel Wilson. It is 6 p.m. That's an old joke. Is there any discussion amongst the committee? We have two guests to do presentations today. The first one is not here yet, so Toga is here
Oh, she's here.
Oh, just in time.
Perfect timing, Jalissa.
So Jalissa Godbout from Montgomery County Soil and Water is here to do a presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. So I wanted to bring an idea and suggestion to you. As you guys know, I am the Agricultural Economic Development Program Coordinator for Montgomery County, and we are looking to add a member to the 9-member board that I currently report to and network with. With all the projects that are going on right now in the city of Amsterdam, we are looking to add a member because of the downtown revitalization projects that are going on that are geared towards agriculture. We figured it'd be great to have the addition to our team, and also they have also been a past member of the team for a few years now, so we thought it'd be great to have her on board with that as well. So it'd be, our suggestion is adding a member to the group as the Director of the Community and Economic Development for the City of Amsterdam. And instead of a 9-person board, to be moving it to a 10-person board. And then also with this addition, there'll also be member changes that I discussed with Cheryl to update our resolution after, if allowing adding the 10-person. Questions?
I have a question, Council. Is there a process that we need to go through, or anything that you would point out that we should do with this, or any pitfalls or perils that are associated with things?
If you wanted to, the committee was established by a resolution from the Board of Supervisors. You would have to amend that resolution to make the change. Do you guys ever vote on things? Pass any?
So it'd be up to you for the decision. I have the support of the board.
No, but within your board, your committee, do you normally vote on members? Because an issue that I could foresee arising is going from an odd number to an even number. And if you have a simple majority, you could end up at a tie. At some point, that would be something we would need to address.
And that would just be, yeah, that's a good point. And of course, we have the chairman who will sustain if we should need to do a vote. So we do votes if needed, but we haven't really run into situations that we've not all really agreed on the process of what we want to do moving forward.
Are there 2 people you would potentially want to add to make an 11-person board?
If you are needing to have 11, so we have an odd, I'm sure we could probably come up with an additional person, if that's what your suggestion is.
If you do vote often, it could just make things easier from a procedural standpoint.
That box.
That's what I was gonna say. I'd like to see it from their board first and come to us for approval.
So you're saying that you would rather see a resolution from their board coming to us asking to amend the resolution from 2009 or whatever it was? 2000.
Well, 2004 was when it was reestablished. But the board is set up by you guys.
Do we have anybody else that'd like to discuss, Martin? Brian?
Yeah, I think probably an odd number is probably better.
I think so also.
Joe? Michael?
Odd numbers are always better in board structure.
Odd number.
Jim? I had the same thought, that I thought that an odd number is always better on a committee. So do we want to not do anything further with this until we get a resolution from your group?
Well, you would have to establish of the 9 current membership, what you would want essentially 2 of. Like there's the active farmer, the agribusiness, Montgomery County legislator, Farm Bureau representative, Chamber of Commerce, Farm Service Agency, Economic Development representative, Cornell Cooperative Extension, and then Ag and Farmland Protection Board rep, and then potentially the city of Amsterdam and 1 other member. So we would have to figure out what that other member would
Be
be.
member at large.
A large member?
Large member.
Like what you do on the sanitary, yeah.
So who's gonna take the ownership in doing that, us or? What do you suggest?
I would suggest if you want an 11-person board, if the committee has a recommendation on who that 11th person would be, if you could forward that to Cheryl, and we could put a resolution together for the consideration of the legislature.
Okay, and would I need to update the current list so we have an actual board at this time? Because I have names on my list that
Yeah.
currently need to be updated as well.
That would be great. If you could send all the updated information.
Okay.
So is there any sense of urgency now to add the additional person to represent the city of Amsterdam economic development? Is there a sense of urgency to have it done this month, or?
Just to keep in the loop of what's going on, and getting, that representative on the board. And then also I will be transitioning to a new position. So,
You will be.
yes,
When is that?
I will be leaving June 3rd. So that's why I was trying to get everything squared away for it.
Anybody else have any comments about that? Anything that we can do to expedite it? Is there any chance that we might add the 10th member now and with?
Well, we still have to change the original resolution to make it a 10-member board. So regardless, you have to change the resolution.
So if she sent it to us this week with their board approval, then we could do an add-on for.
We could add on. So can you do that if you can
I
get
will do
those?
it for you guys, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered. So you'll do that and then we'll be able to, Mr. Diamond says we'll be able to do an add-on on the full board and get this done for
Well,
you.
with the chairman's approval.
Of course.
Legislative.
Legislative. Thanks for clarifying.
Right, do you guys have a suggestion of a member at large that you, would think would be great before I went to my own personal networking?
Well, I think you could build it to 11 and have a vacancy until the time that you do that and then get your person in there in a timely manner to get things done, correct? Correct. Everybody cool with that? Thank you. Martin looks pleased. All right. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Nope, that's all, thank you.
Thank you for your service for all the years that you've done for water and soil. I appreciate it. I'm sure we all do.
Thanks, I appreciate working with
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks.
We have another guest speaker, Montgomery.
Hi, thanks for having us in. We had a quick presentation. We've been working with a small committee with Legislator Pertel, Attorney Mannion, Treasurer Bowerman, and some representatives from the Land Bank with Carl as the board chair, and John Mazzarella and myself. So we had 6 properties we were interested in for this year's group of properties. So we put together a short presentation, and we also included an update on the current properties that we had acquired, so that those would be in there. And so, is there a clicker, Cheryl, or do I?
No, you're gonna just have to.
Oh,
fix
okay.
it.
Okay, so the first property, and sorry for the shifting. The first property is the Stone Lodge in Palatine Bridge, which many of you are familiar with. And I'm going to try and go through these pretty quickly. Cheryl, can you also share the PowerPoint with the members?
I don't have it.
Oh, I have it. I thought you had it.
Oh, this, I
Yeah.
will afterwards,
Oh,
but I thought
okay.
you were bringing hard copies, so.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But I'll quickly run through where we're at. So to date, I think we might have skipped a slide in there. No, it was. But to date, we've invested $192,000 as of today since acquisition. So overall, not on any one particular property. What we did is on each one, we put together the current, what we're currently in the process of. What we're currently in the process of and what's been completed to date.
Where do you want me to go?
Yeah, sorry. And, each one is broken down in that way. So what I'll say is on most of them, we've already completed the lead surveys, cleanouts, asbestos surveys. In some cases, we've completed the asbestos mitigation. The funding that we're using, it's required that we deal with asbestos, lead, and other contaminants, hazardous materials on site. And we're also part of the lead-free Mohawk Valley. So we're part of that initiative and trying to really mitigate lead wherever possible for when we get families into these properties. So with all the properties, we're doing those things. In the case of the Stone Lodge, we've stabilized the building inside and out for the chimneys and other issues. We've disassembled some of the chimneys. I think there's 3 that we've taken down, numbered all the pieces, and prepared them for reassembly. We've taken out all the stained glass windows and the curved windows that were at risk of being damaged while we're doing work. We have went out to bid for the masonry repairs. We have yet to select the successful bidder for that. And we're also applying for several grants for this building, including Preserve New York and the EPF, New York State Environmental Protection Fund. It is on the National Register and it's a significant building. So there's a couple of shots of some of the stabilization work. If you would, Cheryl. That's the before, and then there's a couple after.
Yeah, I'm froze.
Oh,
Okay, here we go.
sorry. Okay. So you can see there where we've stabilized that chimney. The 2 on the other side have been taken down. If you go ahead, there's one on the inside. You can see where we've braced on the inside of the roof and some other stuff that's all been cleaned out. Okay, so we can go ahead. 224 Main Street, this is going to be a sale with scope. So we are completed with all those things, the asbestos survey, lead survey, environmental surveys, cleanouts. It's been gutted, and we're also working on the parking design plan. There's a lot with that, so we're doing plantings and other things to go with that. So that's that property. And I'll try to go through quick, but I'm happy to answer questions after. This is in St. Johnsville, 3 West Main. We've done stabilization on that and also have done the environmental surveys. We're in the midst of the lead and asbestos surveys, and we've been working with Mayor Straney and before that Mayor Bernie Barnes as far as the incubator concept we've been working on for a business incubator for downtown. Okay. 219 Canal Street, this is the property in the adjacent lot in Fort Plain. We just completed the sale yesterday of 3 different parcels to the different neighbors. If you're familiar with it, I know we've been working with some of you. The Kilmartins, who are behind the lot, the Pineros and the Canes, all have gotten part of those properties, which they're going to add to their properties to address issues that they had with their driveway or the property lines or whatever. So that's all been completed. Building's been cleaned out. We've stabilized the roof, done the environmental surveys. We've removed numerous large trees. Additional work there, and that rehab is going to be beginning shortly. Okay. These are the demos, which you can see the red on the bottom. So St. Johnsville, 39 Monroe Street, this is about to move forward. The bid closes in a few days for the demo. This is going to go down hot because we couldn't safely mitigate the asbestos. The building is collapsing and the foundation in the back has been undercut. Next. This is 13 Lower Prospect Street in Fonda, which is in behind, I believe, the Stewarts. You might see it over there. So we just finished up the asbestos mitigation for the barn, which we're going to be taking down in the next couple of weeks. We cleaned out the building and have completed all the surveys for that. Next. This is in Fort Plain. This one was occupied, and we just, working with Mike, who we really appreciated, we got the family relocated. There's an issue with the death in the family and cancer and some other things, so it took a lot longer than we had anticipated. But we are now moving forward to get the surveys done to move towards demolition. This is 21 Lydia Street in Fort Plain. We actually got into this one, and it was, we're now contemplating possibly doing it as a rehab. It's in a lot better shape on the inside than it is on the out. We had a structural engineer assess it. We've done some stabilization. We're looking at some additional stabilization and probably a sale with scope for that. Okay, and those are other properties that we're working on. Many of the rehabs are now out to bid for the work. The demos, the Charleston property will be demoed shortly, and the 70 Center Street property a little later in the summer. Next slide. And then these are the ones that we're looking at. There's 6 properties in the current foreclosure list. 2 rehabs, 2 demos, and then 2 larger stabilizations, and then I have some pictures of those. So this is Canal Street in Fort Plain. Many of you might be familiar with this as the old Village Restaurant, if you know it. 2 issues I'll point out in this photo. You can see on the corners of the building above the white siding, there's some major chinking with the brick. The building, if you go to the next slide, the back wall, if you see those 2 center sections where the paint is coming off, go to the next slide if you would, Sharon. You can see that the back wall is starting to separate. What's happened is there's been water infiltration, the roof has failed, and this is an issue. There have been bricks falling off the building for the last few years, so we had a structural engineer go in and assess it. And this is an imminent collapse danger, so we've been very concerned about this one. And what we would like to do is stabilize that back wall. This is the 8th time, I believe, through the foreclosure auction. Same owner, or not auction, but the foreclosure process. He waits till right before the building is about to go to auction, and then he redeems it every time. But he hasn't put any money into it. It hasn't been occupied in over 30 years. But now it's gotten to the point where the damage is so significant that it is a concern for safety. This is the old Masonic Temple in Fort Plain. I believe this is the 2nd time it's gone through the foreclosure auction. Like with the 4250, the Village Restaurant building, these 2 would be stabilizations. I was talking a little bit about this with the chairman before the meeting. But what we're really envisioning with these 2, we've already had Homes and Community Renewal out from New York State. They came out for site visits last week. And what we're talking about with them is working, in the first case, with the Main Street Downtown Anchor Grant, which is up to $500,000 for stabilization and major building repairs. And then with this one would be EPF, which is the Environmental Protection Fund, which is especially for masonry buildings. But in both cases, we would like to work with the funders and then market them to a developer in a concerted way so that we have a control over the process. We can partner with somebody who has the resources. I mean, this sold at the last auction for $5,500. And I mean, the roof alone is estimated to be about $200,000. If you go to the next slide, it's a really huge building. And what happens is you get these people who get them for a deal, and then they don't have the resources to follow through on the projects. And that roof, that's from 2013, but that roof actually came off in a windstorm in 2014. So most of this building is tarped or has temporary roofing on it. Next slide. Thanks. This is 37 Monroe Street, which has some pretty significant issues. It's got a slate roof that is really in need of replacement. But one of the things that we're looking at with this is we have 39 Monroe, which we're about to take down. And there are 3 buildings on a really, really tight lot in a corner, and they have to go through the 37 Monroe lot. So we'd really like to recombine 39 and 37, and then put that out as one unit with the house. Next one. I don't have a photo for 3 Ann Street, but we are working on the demolition of 11 Ann Street, which the board had sent to us earlier this year. This is down the street. The building has had a lot of deferred maintenance and has a lot of issues. There's a lot of garbage and other things on site, that it's really in need of some help. That would be a rehab. Next one. 71 West Grand Street and Palatine Bridge. This has gone through the foreclosure auction twice. This would be the 3rd time, and I believe it's changed hands 4 times since 2005. This one has been subject to multiple attempted rehabs. If you look at the next slide, you can kind of see, and then the next one, those are the joists and building materials from inside the building. People just keep going into it and just cutting up, running out of money, and it's just a disaster. I didn't include any interior shots, but we did look at it, but it's a mess. Next slide. This is 15 Center Street that should be St. Johnsville. I apologize, it's not Palatine Bridge. This is 2 houses that were connected into one very large house. The garage is partially collapsed. It's been, somebody had begun a rehab, never finished it. It's not been occupied in, I believe, about 10 years, and it's in pretty rough shape, so that would be a demo. And, okay, I think that's all of them. So, sorry to go through so quick. I know you have a lot to cover. So.
I'll email it to.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So does anybody have any discussion or any questions for Tacoma? Legislative Diamond?
Phil's on the stone lights, I noticed on one light, one, if you're looking at the one fireplace, it's got like a big gap down the center of it, you got wood around it, you think that'll be able to be safe?
Oh yeah, and that's the one we also braced it on the inside. So essentially, what we're looking at is we brace it on the inside in case it does collapse. Just nothing, high winds, nothing is perfect. But that way it braces it up, and if it goes out to the outside, we've numbered all the stones so that we know what goes where. But we've kept it essentially so it won't further damage the house or the porch.
It looks like quite impressive.
Yeah.
And the 153 Erie Boulevard, that's not for demolition?
Well, we've cleaned it out. We're waiting on, I believe, the surveys for the asbestos, and so we're going to decide on that. But it did have some significant damage in the foundation from the flood. So our initial thoughts were demolition, but we're still waiting on those results.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
For everything you do.
The one property you mentioned that there was like 3 owners involved with the property
71 Grant in Palatine Bridge.
by the Ace Hardware Store. I don't know, there was like 3 families that were involved. Are all those parties now?
219. Yeah. True Value. Yeah.
Is everyone now happy with the property?
I hope so.
Because I did get a phone call not that long ago in regards to it where they weren't all on the same page, or they didn't think everybody was on the same page.
Well, we closed, we had the vote, and everybody's been, yesterday, everybody got what they wanted.
Okay.
So, and I think that this is an example of really the benefits of the land bank and where we can really excel. But, as Bob can tell you, and I know Legislator Sweet and Diamond were both involved, it's a process, but what we aim to do is, we came to a situation where there's, 3 homeowners that all have something they want to get out of it, and we're able to, we sat down with them, we met multiple times, and we figured out what everybody wanted, we did the surveys, we took down the trees that the neighbors were worried about, and, we addressed all those issues, and now, all 3 of them have gotten their needs met, and now we hope to market the house with the what's left over the yard, and so have a successful sale, get that back on the tax rolls. But that's really where I see us able to, you know, these marginal, like that 71 West Grand Street, where it's been through the ringer so many times. Those are really the properties that we're interested in, is these ones that haven't been sorted out, you know, by the market.
Any other questions? Thank you for taking care of that on Canal Street. I know that it
Yeah.
was a cumbersome project, but it looks like it turned out fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, we can go on to the resolutions. First resolution is a resolution to establish the Montgomery County Legislature as a lead agency in the secret determination for inclusion of parcel into agricultural district number 2. Can we have a sponsor? Martin. Second, Brian. Thank you. All those in favor of moving it to full board? Oh, discussion?
We addressed this one before. Seems like we-
There's several different districts.
Oh, okay.
So this
I
is
just
just,
recognize the name, that's all.
any further discussion? All those in favor of moving it to full board? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Moving it to full board. The next resolution is a resolution establishing a negative declaration in the secret determination for parcel inclusion into agricultural district number 2. Is there any discussion?
Sponsor.
Sponsor, thank you. Brian, second, Martin. Any discussion?
You have to, Ken needs to go through the secret one.
Want to do that now?
Do that at the full board meeting,
Did,
right?
did you want to do it tonight, Megan, or?
Full board's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, clerk. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move it to full board. The third and last resolution is a resolution appointing a member to Montgomery County Industrial Development Agency and Capital Resource Corporation. Sponsor?
I'll sponsor. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Move it to full board.
I just wanted to say, I think that's an excellent choice.
Yes. Is there any other discussion? If there's no further discussion, we'll adjourn economic development planning at
Motion.
motion to adjourn. Thank you. It's been a rough day.
Diamond and Hook.
Diamond and Dan. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're going to adjourn a minute later at 6:29. Thank you all.
Physical Service Committee, call to order. Myself, Martin Kelly, Brian Sweet, John Chezzy, and Mike Peck. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to the first resolution. Resolution authorizing the county exec to sign an engineering agreement, Cemetery Drive, Town of Florida, bridge replacement. Sponsor, Mike Kelly. And Legislator Sweet. Any other discussion? All those in favor, move it to a full board? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Move to the full legislature. Next resolution, resolution authorizing the county exec to sign an intermunicipal agreement for the leachate disposal with the village of Canajoharie area.
Sponsor.
Legislator Diamond, Legislator Sweet. Discussion? All those in favor, move it to a full board?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Anything on the other? All right, motion adjourned. Legislator Kelly. Legislator Burchell. 6:32. That's the way you do it.
You're 6:31.
6:31.
Kelly will be done at 6:30.
No. Call the Health and Human Services Committee to order at 6:31. Is there any discussion from the legislature or fellow members? Anybody from the, no? Moving along, I need a sponsor for a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign state-approved child care facilities agreement. Sponsors, Ratel, Pep. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carried. That's okay. Resolution accepting donation from St. Mary's Healthcare. Is there a sponsor? Patel, Isabel. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
Abstain.
Other, any other? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. We're adjourned.
You're up, Joseph.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you call, that's all. Rotation.
Well, there's more to come after the end.
Oh, they're fuel. Okay. Tough to get old, you guys. I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting. It's 6:33, right?
2.
6:32, thank you very much. Is there any discussion, please? Nobody has any discussion?
I have just a statement. Just glad to see that the sheriff's department has increased the amount of inmates that we've got from out of the area, and that the numbers look great. And I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, then let's move forward to resolutions if nobody objects. Resolution number 2, resolution amending budget with forfeiture monies. Do I have a sponsor? Election to Alderman, I get one back in here. Legislator?
I'll second it, Joe.
Okay, and second, Legislator Pep, and let's have some discussion, please. Lively group. Okay, so we take a vote on this and to move it to full board. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Noes? Okay, let's move to number 2. Actually, number 3 on the list. Resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement with Trinity Services Group. Do I have a sponsor?
Nobody's looking left today.
Roy? Okay, what's that?
Nobody's looking left today.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, let's go. You got me laughing on that one. That was pretty good, Mike. Thank
Very
you.
conservative county.
I was gonna say something.
Well put. Well put.
Okay, let's, is there any discussion on that resolution?
Yes.
Go ahead, Legislator Pep.
I'd like to ask the sheriff, I know it's difficult for you to determine, I see that the price is going up 2%, but do you know how much money was spent on that last year so we can get a ballpark figure in our minds what a 2% increase might look like?
As I stand here today, I do not, but I can get
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Sean's help.
It was roughly 130,000 this year.
What's the expenditure?
Yes.
Of course, it may go up if we, as Legislator Patel indicated, we have more prisoners coming in from the outside and more meals to serve, that figure could go up, but I just wanted, so 2% of about 130?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, if you see the breakdown as well as to the price per.
Yeah, as the volume goes
Right,
up, the price
right.
goes down, yes. I did look at the attachment. Thanks.
Anyone else have a question? I have a question. Is the food service better than it was, or?
The food service is very adequate and meets all
At-
lawful purposes.
very much, Sheriff, for that answer.
Would you feed it to the K-9, the next resolution?
Can we move?
Make reservations for dinner.
Can we move this to full board? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anyone on the line don't know for sure? I guess not, so it passes, we'll move it to full board. Okay, oh, we put the canines on the list too, huh? Okay, let's go to the next one, resolution, I gotta stop this, now, resolution amending 2019 operating budget, K-9 sheriff. Do you wanna explain that a little bit, Sheriff?
Get a sponsor first.
Just about to
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I gotta go to the left. Legislator Pep?
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Dan? Dan? You're gonna,
Yeah.
no, okay, very good. And now we can discuss it. Go ahead, Sheriff. I think you're up now.
This is money that's been raised over the past, about 5 years now, roughly. K-9 Kilo in our correctional facility is approaching 10 years old and approaching retirement. So we have plans to go out in May. The undersheriff and our 2 K-9 handlers are gonna go out and test some dogs and hopefully purchase one to replace Kilo. And we've recently done interviews and have started the public process of raising funds to add new patrol dogs at no cost to the taxpayers. So this money will be utilized to assist in the K-9 program, combined with donations coming in.
Okay, do we have any questions? Does the retiree get to live with his trainer? Is that, or is
Yes.
that's what wants that?
Yeah, we will get, when it's the exact time, we will come forward with a resolution for the county to give permission for the dog to remain with the animal and be retired and
Fantastic.
live a life.
He deserves it.
Comfort.
She deserves it. Okay, very, very good. All right, should we have a vote on that? All in favor of moving it to full board?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Pep voted yes on that one?
I did, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, opposed? Abstentions? All right, let's go to the next one. All right, a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an agreement with Impact for software maintenance. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Dan, Legislator Pep, and Bob's next, but we'll stop right there for now. Okay, thank you. Okay, and is there discussion on that? No discussion on that. Sheriff, do you want to give us a little explanation? I'm really calling on you because there's no discussion, but.
Impact is the company that handles our CAD, our computer-aided dispatch in the 911 center, our records management, our mobile data terminals in the patrol cars, and it's something that we've had a contract with them for years. This is just a contract extension for any potential problems that arise.
Okay. Any other questions? Shall we move it to full board? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Very good, we'll move it to full board. Okay, let's see. Resolution amending the 2019 budget, 2017 statewide Interpol, let's see, what's that, what's that? Interpol? Okay. Interoperable Communications Grant in the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff?
I'll sponsor.
Okay, Legislator Patel, he's gonna be the sponsor. Do we have a second? Legislator Martin, thank you very much. Any discussion? Legislator Patel.
I see this as a grant. Who wrote the grant?
This is grant money that was received in 2017 and has been sitting idle, so we're cleaning it up.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Clerk Colby, you have anything to discuss?
No.
Okay, very good. Anything? Okay, well, can we vote on moving it to full board?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, very good. Moves to full board. Thank you very much on that one, Sheriff. Maybe you should just stand up. I don't know on this one. Okay. Resolution amending the 2019 operating budget, 2018 statewide. Well, I did that one already, so.
No, this is the 2018.
Okay. Interoperable communication grant, a second grant. That's why you were standing, Sheriff. What's up? Okay, do I have a sponsor? Legislator Pep, Legislator Pertel. Okay, Sheriff, can you explain that a little bit?
This will expand on the 17 money, so the 17 money will help move towards the final stage of the radio project that you sponsored so graciously to help the first responders. That last grant will find more frequencies, one mainly for our highway department, DPW, our SWAT team, and a digital channel for the sheriff's office to conduct operations that are not readily received by the general public. This grant will buy subscriber units for all of the highway departments, some of our school buses, some of our ambulances, and continue in law enforcement. So your purchase or your support of the radio project handle all of the fire service. This expands to schools, highways, and police.
Excellent.
Okay, so basically it's gonna make us safer, right, with that?
Well, in theory,
In theory.
it'll enable us to communicate much quicker, much more efficiently, in hopes that no important information is lost and better services will be provided at a quicker rate.
You've done a lot of work with communications. And
Yes,
really,
we all
and
have.
brought us into the 22nd?
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting close to the 22nd century. Okay, all in favor of moving it to full board?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, this, I think, is the last one for the evening here. All right. Resolution amending the 2019 operating budget, 2018 public safety, and, let's see, answering point PSAP grant program. And the sheriff, this is a call on you. Okay, I need a sponsor first. Legislator Duke?
I'm on the committee, but I'm happy to sponsor.
And Danny, okay. All right, we got a second. Sheriff, could you explain this to everyone?
The PSAP grant is money that comes back for the public safety answering point, and this year we're going to use it for some furniture, some chairs for the consoles. The software is priority dispatch. We're still getting RFPs on which software we're going to use, but it's a detailed software program that enables our dispatchers to better handle medical emergencies as they come in over 911. Flip charts and cards and training and instructions so that they can give proper information to the caller to try to help save lives prior to a first responder arriving on scene. And then the computer equipment is simply that, computer equipment for the dispatch consoles, upgrading and making new so that we're in better shape to last for a long time.
Very good. All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Legislator Pep, Legislator Dan, thank you very much, everybody. And the sheriff doesn't have to follow me home because I didn't have any drinks for supper, so. Acting like I am. Thank you very much.
The old days.
Usually when they say that, I think we should follow you.
We'll determine that. Absolutely, Joseph.
Yeah, sure, I can follow that.
6:45, right?
Okay, we'll call the Education and Government Committee to order at 6:45. Members are myself, Legislator Diamond, Wilson, Duchessis, and Pep. Is there any discussion amongst the members or other legislators? If not, we'll move right on to the resolutions. First resolution is a resolution amending Resolution 82 of 2019, authorizing the county executive to execute amendment number 3 to the agreement between the counties of Fulton and Montgomery and JMZ Architects and Planners, PC, for the FMCC classroom building renovation Phase 2 project. Any sponsor? Legislator Pep. Second, Legislator Wilson. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Next resolution is a resolution confirming the appointment term of representative to Fulton, Montgomery, and Schoharie County Workforce Development Board made by the county executive and his sponsor. Martin? Second.
It's like an auction sale.
Legislator Wilson?
Who's second? Who was second?
Legislator Dan? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? So carried. The last resolution is a resolution authorizing Montgomery County to join an amicus brief in the matter of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus City of New York. I'll sponsor and Martin will second. Discussion. Matt, you want to enlighten us just a little?
Yeah, I have been fortunate enough to have discussions with everyone about the specifics of this, and appreciate your support and the thoughtful questions that we've had. As I said before, I very much understand that we need to have reasonable gun legislation. We need to focus on mental illness and keeping guns out of the hands of people that are mentally ill and other types of situations. But when I looked at this specifically, I really felt that if it was put to the people of this county, whether or not we should become a part of this lawsuit, I think they would say yes. So that's why I decided to bring before you and provide you the information. I apologize, I'm not 100% today, so, but I do appreciate the conversations that we had and be happy to answer any questions at this time if there still are any.
No, I agree with the executive that we need to defend the Second Amendment. And I think the more support for lawsuits like this, the better. So I appreciate you bringing that to us.
And I would add that this is not something that we necessarily went looking for. We received a request, the county attorney brought it to my attention from St. Lawrence County. They're looking to build support in New York State on a broader level, and that's why I felt compelled after looking at it to bring it to you for your attention and support and hopefully approval. And we'll take it from there.
Any other further discussion? Now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? So carried. Anything under other? Not, need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
So moved.
6:48.
Okay, we'll convene the Personnel Committee at 6:49. Privilege of the chair and committee, anyone wish to be heard? Now, we're on to the resolutions. First is a resolution creating a part-time director of the Veteran Services Agency and amending the 2019 operating budget. For the sponsor?
I'll sponsor.
Second, Pat. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to ask the question of the executive or the treasurer. So the part-time salary is 30. Right now, we're so far into the year, it's only going to cost us 22.6. Is that? But in the financial impact statement on the resolution, says will result in savings to the county, which we can all understand that because we're going from full-time to part-time. Just curious how much that would be. What was the full-time salary?
Full-time salary.
Include that in there.
Full-time salary, I believe, is $41,000. So there'll be approximately, I'd say, I can confidently say $10,000 to $12,000 on the salary plus any fringe.
Okay. I guess I'd like to propose an amendment to the resolution to include the quantified amount of the savings. And, if we can do that.
Sure.
So an amendment to say the savings will be 11,000?
Whatever it is.
Could we get a confirmation from Sean?
Well, we're going to do a 3/5. We'll find out specifically.
I can add that, we could get the specific
And we'll
number
have-
and
That's
have it ready
perfect.
for the
That's perfect.
resolution next week.
Just prefer to have it, more specific instead of general in nature. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll second the amendment.
So,
Do you want to wait to amend it at full board when you have the exact number?
Sure. If somebody can feed
need that information before the full board so I can amend it accordingly?
Yeah, I think what we do is we can have the amendment and pass it out to everyone.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
So you just want to wait to amend the resolution at the meeting, is that?
Oh, we have exactly.
Very good. All in favor of moving this to the full legislature?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you. Next is a resolution adopting an on-call overtime policy for the Montgomery County Sanitary District Number 1. Sponsor? Thank you. Second. Is there any discussion here? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Goes to the full legislature. And finally, a resolution eliminating senior account clerk typist position and establishing principal account clerk typist position probation. Have a sponsor? Thank you. And a second, Brian. Is there any discussion here? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? It's carried to the full board. Thank you. Look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:53. And remind that this is a committee of the whole. And as such, everybody's voting members. Is there any items anybody would like to discuss before we get into the resolutions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move right into the resolutions. Our first resolution is a resolution authorizing Montgomery County Executive to sign contract extension for single-stream recycled waste processing with Sierra Processing LLC. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, second. Legislator Wilson. Any discussion on this resolution?
We have some
Legislator Pertel.
We have some more information on exactly what this is.
It's just a renewal of the contract for the pickup of the recyclables that go through the transfer stations. It's not an expense to the county, it's a revenue generator.
So we are being
Very little, but it's very powerful.
All set, Legislator Patel?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of moving to the full board?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Second resolution, resolution authorizing county treasurer to disperse mortgage tax money. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Diamond, Legislator Pertel with a second. Any discussion on this resolution?
So we're dispersing it at the same rate that we previously did.
I believe so, yes?
Correct.
Yes. Any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of moving it to full board next week?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Next resolution. A resolution authorizing increase in copy fees and establishing a fee for scanner plotter maps. Do I have a sponsor? Legislators Diamond and a second, Legislator Sweet.
Don't forget to look left.
I've been looking left, I just did not do it on that particular resolution. But make no mistake about it, I am right. Politically speaking. Any discussion on this? Looks like a nice resolution, going to gain us some more income in the county clerk's office, and thank you, County Clerk Colby, for putting this together for us. Any other discussion on it? Legislator Dunn.
I just wanted to confirm what you said and also thank our county clerk for all the improvements. noticed by a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of comments and appreciate your hard work there.
All right. Any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of moving it to the full board?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Carries. All right, our next resolution is a resolution approving abstract of audited claims. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, Legislator Wilson with a second. Any discussion on this?
Good explanation.
Sean, I mean, this is our regularly recurring resolution under budget and finance every month of everything that was signed off on by the clerk and looked at by the auditor.
I'm ahead now,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Explain that, please.
I think that we were
pages.
We can discuss it. Yeah, okay. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Our next resolution is a resolution amending the 2019 operating budget. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Diamond, do I have a second? Legislator Wilson. I would like to propose an amendment to this resolution. In the two places where the word several is listed, in the first line of the whereas and the last line in the financial impact statement, I would like to change to the word two, the number two. And I will sponsor that resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Legislator Diamond, thank you. Discussion.
Can I have an explanation?
Absolutely. Actually, in reading this and then speaking with our counselor, I was wondering what several issues, personnel matters needed to be settled, and because I was only aware of two of them, and that we were all aware of, that we were discussing at our last meeting, and they are the matters of Bartone and Collins, and that we discussed last week. Okay, so I thought it was best to be more specific in that regard as it pertains to our next resolution as well. Any further discussion? All in favor of supporting the amendment to the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Our next resolution,
resolution is amended.
and a resolution as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, Councilman. And our next resolution is a resolution settling claims. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, Legislator Wilson with a second. Any discussion? I have discussion. One thing I want to make perfectly clear is that this resolution is included, the settlement of this resolution is included in the operating, in the fund balance appropriation that we are making, and it's not separate and apart from that. So it's included in the prior resolution, which required 41.7 as part of that payment, including the two people. All right. Any further discussion? Do I have all in favor of this resolution?
Yes.
There's no amendment, right? Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, hearing none, passes on to the main board next week. All right, we have two add-on resolutions, the handouts of which are at your desks. The first one, resolution authorizing sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure, Town of Palatine. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, Legislator Wilson with a second. Discussion? Yes, Legislator Diamond.
I think we had a councilman here last week that wanted to post us to table this for 180 days.
the town board passed a resolution to do the purchase order.
It's since been, yeah, that's what I was just gonna add that we do have, just as we, earlier in this meeting asked, of another person, we do have evidence that they passed it by their own town board. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Our second add-on resolution is a resolution authorizing the sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure town of Glen. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Diamond, or Wilson? Legislator Sweet with our second. Any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of moving forward with it next week?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll sing.
Mark the record. Chairman Heather was abstaining. All right. Now, also within the confines of this meeting, we're going to, Budget Finance Committee meeting, we're going to review our dashboard, and you have your handouts there. And I will go down the tail of the tape here, and once we get through, if you guys have questions on each of these bullets, feel free to ask them as we go through them. All right, our sales tax, and keep in mind that this marks a dashboard report through March 31st, a quarter of our fiscal year, or 25%. Therefore, any revenue category that falls under 20% and any expense category that exceeds 30% it gains a red cautionary notation here and worthy of explanation and discussion, as well as anything else anybody wants to talk about. Sales tax is at 7%. Keep in mind we're on the 60-day lag, so we're only recognizing here on this report through January. However, in my meeting with the treasurer, he has since this time received sales tax receipts for the month of February, which are running about 2.2% ahead of last year through February, and which equates to about $100,000 greater year over year through February in sales tax revenue. So that's for your information in that regard. So we're tracking better again in that category this year as we have in the past a few years, year over year. Our next category, further discussion, state aid, DSS. The February claims were submitted on March 31st, a little bit after our prescribed timetable, which was set up by Bonadillo, which was the 20th of the following month. But however, and they got recorded the first couple of days of April. That's why you don't see them on the March 31st dashboard here. You're also, Cheryl, everybody has received this memo? There's a memo on your desks addressed to Chairman Headwell, myself as chairman of the Finance Committee, the executive, the treasurer, and the DSS commissioner from the Director of Finance and DSS, giving us an indication here of where she stands with the claims, which dovetails with what I just explained. That the claims have been filed through February. Obviously, the March claims should be filed ideally by April 20th. You can see from this memo, the second paragraph from the bottom, that the March claims will be started by April 20th. So hopefully we can make sure that they are filed, within that last 10 days of that month. And with respect to that, where was I? As far as other highlights of this memo are concerned, one worth pointing out to you as well, the foster care unit, which is the 4E money. It's the last paragraph on the memo, and that was something that we got some assistance with Bonadillo last year when they came in to assist in the DSS area. It has mined out another $761,000 in claims. through the 4E program, so we're making progress in that regard as well. As far as the audit is concerned, there's been recent meetings with the commissioner, Mr. McMahon, and his staff, indicating that by this Friday, all reconciliations through December 31st, 2018 will be done, affording our treasurer 2 weeks worth of time to file the audit by the preferred April 30th date of filing in that regard. So, Commissioner McMahon, would you like to add any detail or information to that?
No, I think you said that we're going to have it done by Friday. I talked to my team this evening and yesterday. The good thing is that we brought on a supervisor 8 months ago who was really picked up on the claiming process. And, so that's really working like clockwork, except for you have some things that happen sometimes where you don't get a certain document, so it does shift it to a day or two. But I think you can expect that a lot of our claims to you are done by at least by the end of the month, every month. So we're kind of tracking that. We have one person doing it now. It makes it a little easier. As far as reconciliations, we're working very hard at getting that done. Also having more frequent communications with the treasurer and the executive, and looking at the dashboard. We don't see the dashboard. So it might be helpful if we have a snapshot of the dashboard each month and to see what you're seeing, so we're all on the same page. Sure. You know, I think it would make it easier for my team. And we are doing a team approach, so I'm very involved with the finances, and like I said, we have a supervisor that's also picked it up very quickly. So I think that's going to aid with getting things done timely, and also helping you understand our budget. Our budget's very complex, as you know, and it's ever changing. You know, every time we get a new state budget, things change. The federal government is always giving us changes, so we can let you know what some of those red marks are, really what the detail is in there, and what we're waiting for, maybe from the federal government, from the state. I think that'll help an understanding for all of us, and certainly when we get the budget season, you'll have a better understanding, hopefully. So I think there's been an idea of having a meeting with Sean and Matt, maybe a couple times a month, maybe before these meetings, so we can actually go through and explain.
That'd be a wonderful
And if we don't know anything, we'll call those people who can help us.
Okay.
So I don't mind reaching out for assistance, whether that be other counties or other state agencies.
Excellent. I think, you know, what was prescribed by Bonadillo last year, I think we got to step up in one area, Matt and Commissioner, which is to have the reconciliations be 5 months lag. Obviously doesn't do justice to us getting an audit done by the end of the 4th month of the year. You know what I mean? So I think we should try to redirect that one to a 4-month lag on the reconciliations if we can, because at the very least, then that would mean that by the end of April we should have reconciliations in by through representing business through December 31st. Yeah, I mean, you got any problem with that or any?
No, I would agree, and I think what Mike was referring to earlier is, a lot of this is just improving the communication of what exactly is going on, and as we discussed earlier, rather than getting to that point where it's okay, it's time for the monthly meeting, where are we at, and then we're going and sifting through, well, we decided on our end to be proactive about it, and let's get together before, so that information is ready for you when you come in to prep for this meeting. And the team at DSS has agreed to that, and we're gonna make sure that gets implemented starting next time.
Yeah, and just
and this could be a topic of those meetings, is how do we handle the year end, knowing the expectation is a 5-month lag, and really in that particular time, a 4-month lag would be better, and what issues will arise with that, and then it'll be, well, if something actually wasn't, we don't know the exact number, well, maybe we can estimate at that time, so Sean can have a better idea on the books, rather than just leaving it open-ended as we're heading in and hoping it gets done,
sure,
that we're not late. So I think that's going to be a big step forward. But really, right now, the crunch time is getting everything done by Friday, and then we can take it from there and make some improvements. I know this has been a frustrating process for a lot of you, but I do say we have been making some steady progress, and I think that's an additional step we can take to continue to improve.
And I mean, you're certainly welcome to our dashboard, Commissioner. But to be honest with you, I think what Matt and Sean are planning to do with you will be much more useful, because I typically meet with the treasurer either the Friday morning before the meeting I'm gonna discuss it at, or the Monday afternoon, to discuss and get information. So, you know, we will certainly, when we release it to the rest of the legislature, we'll release it to you as well. But I think the conversations that will have occurred already between yourself and our executive and our treasurer will go a long way toward, you know, helping us get our explanations on this.
And making them regular, not
Yeah.
something that, you know, just as, you know, you can time your meetings like clockwork, that we're gonna have that a few days ahead of time, so we're prepped going into it. So when you give the call to Sean to get your information to share with your colleagues, that all that is ready to go right there, and we're not at a point where you're getting a little, and rightfully so, frustrated because we're trying to track down information when you're ready to go for your meeting. So I think it would be a real a step forward as far as the process goes.
Okay, great.
I also think we were talking about the 4-month, 4 months versus 5 months. And when we sat down last year and we're talking about the timetable, I think this is just a continuation of how we're improving what we're doing, and I think it's just
It's a work in progress.
work in progress,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
we're all, and I think everyone's working toward the betterment of the whole thing.
Certainly, you know, appears to be moving in that direction, you know. So, thank you, Commissioner.
The only other thing I'd like to say, if I can, is
Absolutely.
our 4E team that we built 4 months ago has worked very well. We made some changes, we brought different types of job entities into that, and they really are working good. You can see that by the evidence. They really come off the ground. So that was help that Bonadeo gave us, but it's something we created ourselves here. So.
Well, and I don't mean to drag it on, but I would concur, you know, towards the end of the year, in talking with the commissioner, we're talking about a deal about how we were doing on 4E. I'll be honest, I was a little concerned, but with the number of cases that were open, but when things got ramping, clearly, you know, to be at $761,000 at this point for that period of time, that's a big step forward. And I think also, as the commissioner noted and why it's in here, sharing those positive stories of things that are working well is just as important to share with you as necessarily the challenges that we're facing. So, so while we focus on our problems, we do need to celebrate the success.
All right. Any other discussion anybody wants to have with the Commissioner of DSS?
I guess I would just say.
Yes, legislator
Chair, if I could. You know, like the previous legislature, we never had this, it was until legislator Pep came. And it gave us a barometer of what we needed. And I think, and wanted to thank the commissioner for really stepping up to more demands that we've had and that we didn't in the past. So I'm proud of you and your team, you know, especially the foster care issues and the reimbursements. And I think, you know, as a whole, you can see we're definitely correcting a lot of things that weren't corrected in the past, and we're definitely moving forward, I think, at a fast pace. And I want to thank legislator Pat for that too.
Oh, thank you, sir. All right, any further discussion? All right, thank you. Thanks, Commissioner McMahon.
Sure.
All right, state aid other is an $8 million figure in our budget here. Of that $8 million figure, $3.6 million of it is mental health, 2.7 is public health, 1.1 is economic development grant, and about $570,000 of it is mass transportation. That brings us up to about $7.9 million of the $8 million figure. Those are the components that make up that budget. Now, I got into a discussion with the treasurer regarding this as it pertained to mental health, because I had a discussion with Chairman Headwell about perhaps breaking out mental health, public health receivables, as well as we've done with DSS here. And I learned something from the treasurer, that mental health actually, it's not really a claim process like it is on DSS. They receive advances every month from the state for use to implement the programs. And Sean only records the revenue after expenses have been incurred. And so whenever he's recording something, he's recording equal amounts of revenue to offset the expenses that he has. So what he's going to do going forward, and he's held off recognizing this information, skewing these numbers a little bit, is he doesn't want to do it on a monthly basis, but on a quarterly basis. He's going to recognize all the expenses incurred and the related income that came in to pay from them, to not pay for them, but to facilitate them from the state. So we should be able to begin to see some recognition of that revenue in that category from quarter end to quarter end in that regard. All right, federal aid, DSS, the same explanation with the state. February claims in, reconciliations will be done by the end of this week, facilitating our aud. And oh, by the way, if the mental health had been recorded, just to digress a second, about $800,000 or 10% of the budget would have been recognized here through March 31st, which is our first quarter. Federal aid other, no claims for 2019 funding submitted yet. 110 of this $142,000 budget figure is emergency management grants, none of which have been claimed yet. So once they do, that'll start trickling in. Departmental income, within that budget, you see from your explanation there, clerk fees is $1,265,000 of it. Refuse and garbage fees are $3.5 million of it. Those are the biggest components in that $6.3 million budgeted figure. You can see, as Sean has indicated here, clerk fees 13% or $175,000 of that $1,265,000 has been recognized here, and of the garbage and refuse fees, 14% of the $3.5 million figure, or about $500,000, have been received through March 31st. Intergovernmental charges, not a large budget figure here, $634,000, comprised of real property, elections and data, stop DWI fines, and the DWI payments received from the state received on a quarterly basis, and they will be received in late April or early May, and that will help begin to funnel money into that revenue category on our dashboard. I also want to direct your attention, if you're not looking at it already, down at the bottom of the page, when we look at state and federal receivables, you can see end of the month prior year through March 31st, 18, our receivables were $1,008,000. Through this year, through March 31st, they're $9 million. And what that is the reconciliations largely of the DSS claims from October, November, December in there, and obviously, those that need to be reconciled for March or for January, February, and March. But we know those are on a 4-month lag. But obviously, the October, November, December for year end of 18 are in that $9 million receivable figure. So once reconciled, should bring that down as well. So no further questions. We'll move to the county road fund. Yes, Legislator Patel.
Under expenditures prior year to date, fringe benefits were $311,000. This year to date is $1.5 million. Seems like an extreme.
It certainly does.
Do we have
Treasurer Barman, any insights into that inflated
I
figure?
don't have that information. I can shoot an email out to the legislature to explain it.
Okay.
I don't have the answer right in front of me.
It does seem to be a little bit, somewhat of an anomaly, the way it's tracking.
Like I
So
said, I'd rather look it up and.
sure, instead of conjecture. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, hearing no other questions, moving on to the county road fund. Miscellaneous revenue category is only $13,800, so the fact that that's in the red is a moot point, I would say. It's such a minuscule amount. The state aid is the CHIPS money, $2.4 million. Obviously, we know how that works. That doesn't start coming in until people start working in April and the weather breaks. Also, as a reminder, that budget figure will be amended by another $2 million or so. That would be CHIPS money not used from last year carried into this year for projects as well. Sean, do you have any idea when you're going to amend that budget figure?
That usually comes from DPW, so I'm guessing they are going to be bringing that, I would say, probably in April or May.
Okay, I just want to get an idea when
Construction
that's.
season begins.
Okay, and we'll see it in the amended budget figure when that happens. Okay, and Then moving down to the expenditure categories on the county road fund, transportation at 32%, obviously tracking above, the required 30% here. And that is because of, we've paid half the snow contracts in March. The second half will be paid in October. So that's why that's running a little bit above board as an expenditure, because we pay those in two semi-annual installments. Moving on to the road machinery fund. Interfund revenues of almost 800,000 there, 798.8, tracking at only 4%. And that's a category that only gets used when the use of county equipment by the general, the county road and the capital projects. And obviously the majority of that activity happens during construction season. Transfers in is kind of a category where it only gets used as needed, so how it tracks is not really relevant unless it's tracking way above board. So, no other things worthy of discussion there. And on to the health insurance fund. Intergovernmental charges, we're only at, it's a $6 million figure and in our budget, and we're obviously at 0% there with 88 year to date. Reason being billed on a quarterly basis, so we will see some revenue recognized in there probably by our April 30th dashboard, correct, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, and the other red category, other fringe benefits, FICA and disability paid in full for the fund employees. So that's it, unless there's any other questions on the dashboard. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Legislator Kelly, Legislator Patel. Budget Finance adjourned at 7:24. Thank you.